DEI, tab, and all of those things. So we should have sound, but let me just double check over here that we in fact have Sonida. Y'all are funny. I appreciate all the comments about me in Spanish. Okay, I appreciate it. So we are here. It is Monday. It's my birthday eve. I will be 15 years old tomorrow. I will be a 15-year-old grandma tomorrow. Clearly, that's not the case, but that's my story. And I'm sticking to it. I will be 15 tomorrow. You might want to transpose those numbers though. So I'm really excited to be here. And, I'm really at that age where it's like, I'm excited and happy to be among the land of the living because, that's the way it is when you're 15 years old, right? So, there's a lot of discourse about Target, DEI, and boycotts. And so we're going to get into that today. But before we do, I want you to come on in and say hello. Let me know where you are watching from. I would love to hear from you. My take is always going to be a little bit different than everyone else's because I'm Tamira and they are them. So I do what I do and they do what they do. I have my experiences and I have my beliefs and they have theirs. So we will talk a little bit about this. And I think the big thing for me, thank you so much for the love, Christian Lloyd. Thank you. The big thing for me is and what we've been chatting about and will continue to chat about is managing your emotions and managing your nervous system. Okay. It's super important that you do that. There's a lot being put out to instill fear in you. And when you operate from a place of fear and for too long, you make the wrong moves, right? And we are in a time where it is vitally important to make your next move your best move. Okay. You got to make your next move your best move. Okay. We've got to move with intention. We've got to move with strategy. And that comes from being able to trust yourself and having proper self-concept, knowing that you are worthy and deserving simply because you are worthy and deserving, right? Knowing that there is a purpose that God woke you up today. Okay. Knowing that there are people who are looking to you for inspiration, knowing that the steps that you take are inspiring the next person, right? That there is a testimony in your test. Okay. So don't be afraid to share your story, right? Tell your story, right? There are going to be people who get in your ear about not wanting to for you to tell your story, but I'm going to tell you, in these internet streets, if you plan on leveraging these internet streets at all, you need to tell your story. Christian just said his wife is a double amputee. I'm sorry to hear that, and would love to make money at home with our 3 kids. She totally can. Make sure you are following me, Christian, and get her on these videos because I am bringing the noise. I am bringing the heat. Right now, we are really, in terms of TikTok University, Hillman Talk University, we are covering soft skills like discernment. Last week, I went in depth on 10 tips to help you fine tune and develop your discernment because we have to do that, right? Right now, I just saw Under the Desk News talking about what I've been talking about, all this misinformation about the TikTok ban and who is acquiring TikTok. Right now, there is no buyer. There is no buyer. The president, it has said in interviews, and I haven't seen an update in a few days, doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just haven't seen it, that, TikTok is worth nothing unless he signs an order. And in order for him to prevent the sale or the demise of TikTok, there has to be a sale. But they're really in a conundrum. And Under the Desk News broke this down like I've been breaking it down for y'all. The latest is Oracle, right? And I did share some information about Oracle, but it was really more so to talk about what I had told y'all about Mark and how Mark is really not on the inside track. Mark is just kind of like, doing what he's got to do to survive. And honestly, I'm going to be real with you. I believe Target is also. And we're going to talk about that. Okay. So, all things marketing, mindset, and monetization. If you are not following, if you are not subscribed, don't forget to do that. Click up here over on this app and look, at the bottom of the video on other apps for to be able to follow me. And make sure you turn those bells on, turn on notifications, right? Turn on those notifications. I am a mass content creator. I pump out volumes of content. And I actually am still holding back, y'all. There's so much more I could do. But I'm a one person show. And even with automation and that, I don't want to break anything. So I've got vaults on vaults on vaults of content, right? So if you don't know me, if you are new here, my name is Tamara Hamilton. I have over 32 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. I have a double master's degree in marketing and finance, a BA in marketing, and also Spanish. I don't think I've said that in a while because y'all was really surprised at that video of me speaking in español. Yeah, estudié español para 12 años, terminó en la universidad. See, sometimes I go a little too fast and I fumble, but most people don't know that I just fumbled, right? And I really do appreciate all the compliments about my Spanish. And yes, somebody asked me, why do you always touch your hair? It's just a Tamira thing. It's not nerves, it's not anything. It's just me always liking to keep it in place because there have been times when it was in place, but by the time I hit that record button, things look a mess, right? And so I'm just always looking and checking to make sure things look the way that I want them to because I repurpose a lot of this content. And they even, because sometimes, y'all with these double-handed compliments, they even were kind of like, I know it's not yours. No, it is mine because I paid for it. It very much is mine because I paid for it. Okay. And I got edges. I've never, well, the only time I had problems with edges was after the birth of my second child, and that was hormonal. And we got that fixed. Okay. Because my hair shed so bad after my second baby back in the late 1900s. Okay. So, again, my name is Tamara, 32 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. And I come on here and I'm bringing the monetization, the marketing, the mindset, and the mentoring that I think is vital in these times. And it's just honestly what I feel is my purpose. That's what God put me on this earth to do. It brings me joy. It comes with ease and flow, and I just can riff on it. Right? Everybody sees that meme circle around about, if you could speak for any what subject could you speak on for 30 minutes or something like that with short to no notice. And anything that I come in here and talk about, I can. Now, sometimes I'm fact checking myself while we're live, but I personally would rather listen to somebody who is fact checking themselves than someone who is saying, things that are incorrect. And we all still do from time to time. So I'm not judging anyone. So come on in. Let me know where you are watching from. I would love to give you a shout out. Okay. So, we had a change in power last week. Oops. Kicked the tripod. We had a peaceful transition of power last week. And, it's been an interesting week, right? If you're not managing your emotions, if you don't have your spiritual house in order, if you're not, managing and regulating your parasympathetic nervous system, you might be struggling. So let's just take a couple deep breaths right now. In through the nose and hold for 4 and exhale and hold for 4. Okay. Let's do it again. In through the nose, and we're going to hold for 4. So in till you can't hold it in no more. Exhale for 4 until you can't exhale anymore, and then hold for 4. Okay. My grandchildren will tell you Nana has this saying, and that is you can breathe your way through anything. I've learned that, right? I've learned that. I was going through some things back in 2012, and that's when I began to, that's when I started undertaking a meditation practice. Like I would actually go to the Shambhala Center in Milwaukee and go to meditation on Saturdays and Tuesday evenings. And it literally changed my life, right? It literally changed my life. It's also the precipice of me beginning my entrepreneur journey, because by learning to be more present and not having anxiety, because that's what anxiety is, right? It's anxiety about the future. It's anxiety. You're worrying and you're wasting today's energy worrying about tomorrow when you need to anchor in the present right now. And when your nervous system is dysregulated, when you are on that lower frequency of fear, you are not in a situation where you trust yourself and where you have the self concept to trust yourself and know that you have everything that you need, right? That everything is already inside of you that you need to succeed or make it through these times. And I don't know about you, but I'm actually very proud of myself and how I've been handling all of this. But I will also tell you in that same breath that I started preparing for this once those election results came out. I won't say immediately, probably within a week. I gave myself a week to be in the quote unquote sunken place or the lower levels of frequency. And then I knew I had to pull myself up and quickly and plan and prepare. And so that is what I have been doing. Okay. And I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good space. Tomorrow is my birthday. So it is my pre-birthday eve. So if you've been following, DBA is on sale right now. Volume 1 is $78. Volume 2, which includes volume 1, is $178. And volume 3 is $300. And you know where to go to find those. Otherwise, message me and I will point you in the right direction. Okay. So, flash sale on DBA ends tomorrow, my birthday, at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So that's 10 p.m. Central Time and 8 p.m. Pacific Time tomorrow. So if you've been thinking about DBA, if you've been contemplating DBA, you definitely want to grab it while it is on sale. Okay. So let's talk, right? We've already established that there's been a lot going on and it's not going to stop anytime soon. A lot of this, as we've discussed before on other lives, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time here, is being done as an act of showmanship. And we still have laws, we still have processes, we still have the Constitution in place. So it's very important that we do not react to a lot of this. Okay. I'm not saying that you should ignore your feelings. That's not what I'm saying in any way, shape, or form. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that, it definitely, and I've said this before, feel the feelings, acknowledge the feelings, but also understand that you can't stay there. Right. And if it's anger, I've always, because the 4 emotions that lead to change are anger, fear, resolve, and disgust. I got that from the 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. That's the name of the book, the 4 Agreements. That was my biggest takeaway from that book, the 4 emotions that lead to change: anger, fear, resolve, and disgust. So fear can definitely be a great foundation for transformation and change in your life. I gotta lower this just a little bit. Okay. So that is a good thing to know and understand, that you can use your fear to your advantage. You can use your fear to your advantage and not let it be a weakness. You do not want your fear to be a weakness. I'm just trying to get framed here really good in the vertical version. All right, that's much better. It's still a little uneven, but that's much better. I can adjust it that way. There we go. There we go. Okay. So we know how this administration feels about diversity, equity, and inclusion. We know there's a lot of misinformation about what diversity, equity, and inclusion actually means, right? There's discourse over who benefits from it more than others. I'm not even getting into that though, right? You know me, I really dwell in the land of what is. I really dwell in the land of what is the lesson. Let me put my do not disturb on. Okay, so we got do not disturb on. Okay. So again, I'm going to dwell in the land of what is the lesson here? What is the lesson? Because there's definitely some lessons here. Okay. So let's just get a little bit of historical perspective and context here. The reason we have the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which was not revoked last week, there was an order from 1965 by Lyndon B. Johnson regarding equal opportunity and protected classes that was revoked last week, but it primarily only impacts the rights. I won't even say rights, but it primarily impacts federal employees, right? Now, with that being said, companies are still being pressured to kind of follow suit, right? Because this whole concept of it being reverse discrimination and racism, which I'm just not even going to go there. If you believe that, you don't belong on my friends list. You're not worthy and deserving of being in my presence. You're not worthy and deserving of breathing the same air that I breathe. Please leave this video and please unfriend me now. Because I'm not playing the gaslighting game. I'm not going back and forth with people on that. I'm just not. Okay. We don't have the power, the infrastructure, so on and so forth, to inflict discrimination and racism on anyone. Okay. It is just BS. Okay. It's disgusting. Okay. So I like to stay higher frequency. So we're not going there because already I can feel the change in me and I want to get back to a good space. Right. And so, with that said, Target, which has been a very DEI friendly company, and they had the belonging in the bullseye or whatever program, they announced that they are pulling out of all of that, right? And it's in the news. You can go Google it and read it for yourself. And it's come as a shock to a lot of people. Okay. And I'm not going to get deep, like I said, but DEI does not mean Black people. I don't know why people think that other than misinformation, and that's what they choose to believe, right? So there are Black owned brands that are on the shelves. And I remember when Honey Pot had its heyday and people were going and giving her nasty reviews because they were upset because as part of the Target program, she did a video talking about her experience in the program and people were mean and hateful, right? And here's the reality. Getting rid of DEI programs is not going to stop people from being mean and hateful. They are still going to be mean and hateful, right? Because they're miserable. They wake up miserable, and their entire goal every day is to pass that misery on to the next person. However, it still is not fulfilling for them. They are still going to wake up miserable the next day and probably even more miserable than they were the day before because they really need to get to the root of what is making them miserable and figure out what is going to bring them joy and come with ease and flow. And hatred does not do that by definition. It is not going to bring you joy and come with ease and flow. It just doesn't work that way. Right? So getting rid of these programs, if you're not doing anything with your life, getting rid of these programs is not going to change your life. If getting rid of these programs and you're still not developing your skills and up leveling, like the woman in Florida saying that maybe now with all the immigration, deportations. Maybe now you won't need to be bilingual to get a job in Florida. That's not anyone else's problem but your own, that you refuse to level your skills up. And remember, I've been saying this since the beginning of time. The issue is there are people who don't want to do better. And because they don't want to do better, they want everyone who does decide to do better punished. It's not a black thing, it's not a white thing, it's a skill thing. It's an education thing. And so education is under attack. Being skilled is under attack only by those who don't have it. Right? Only by those who don't have it, because they're being used as pawns and puppets by those who have all the money and the resources. Right? They're okay with not having anything so long as they have more than the next person. And now they are faced to look at the real reason they don't have anything is because of what they decide to do and what they've decided not to do. Get the education, get the skills, and be a good person. So they'd rather blame other people. They'd rather project. Okay. So we've got these black brands that are in Target. You know, Tabitha Brown, who's been an actress and a social media influencer. And then Melissa, I can't remember her name. She's the owner of the Lip Bar. And I think they were on Shark Tank. And I think that's the one that Kevin O'Leary called a cockroach or something like that, which personally I found quite offensive, but that's just me. Right. And so they've come out and they've said, please don't boycott, because when you boycott, our brands won't move and then they're going to kick us out of Target because it's performance based, right? And I've seen varying opinions on that, and I'm not here to prove or disprove those opinions. I'm here simply to talk about it from my perspective based on my 32 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. So before we get into that, please be sure to share this with anyone that you think would benefit from this, because this is going to be a masterclass. Okay. We're going to talk about business lessons from Target and the boycott, right? And you want to make sure you are following me and you hit that notification so that that bell, so you get the notifications when I do go live. Okay. Before we get into it, another quick commercial. DBA, doing the DBA course, which is going to help you learn digital marketing skills and monetize yourself. You can go, you know where to go to find all about it. And you can even get a free preview of it in that same spot. Okay. It is on sale, volume 1 for $78. The best buy, in my opinion, is volume 2. You get volumes 2 and 1 for $178. And yes, you can do 4 payments with Klarna or Afterpay. Volume 3, honestly, I think volume 1 and 2 is more than enough. Volume 3 is $300. It does include volumes 1 and 2. I think I use volume 2 and 1 much more than volume 3 is what I'm going to say. Okay. But you can still, once you get volume 1 and 2, you have the ability to sell volume 3, I believe, just in case you run across people who are in those spaces. Thank you for the love who are in those spaces. And, you can then recommend volume 3 to them. But because of my background in beauty and other spaces, volume 1 and volume 2 tend to be what I sell the most. Okay. So we've got, I don't know, about 7 to 10 lessons here. 7 lessons here on the whole Tab and Target situation. Okay. First of all, like I said earlier, I believe Target is buckling under the pressure because they have faced issues with right-wing conservatives in the past, namely over their bathroom policy. Basically, I don't even know the right words to say it, but the way they look at gender is inclusive, and you picking up what I'm throwing down. I don't even know how to say it, but I know there are people out there. I know someone who claims to have led a boycott and cost them billions of dollars every time they post a loss. They claim credit for that. And I don't know that that's quite true, but that's what y'all got to watch with some of these influencers and these coaches. They really live in the land of Delulu, and they claim things that are just coincidental. Okay. But we're not going to argue that today. So they've had those issues. There were issues again recently with different items that they had in their store that some people on the far right felt were demonic, and they've been under a lot of attack. And so I think given this administration, they, like Mark, are deciding to play the game. They've decided to play the game, or they've been presented with information that leads them to believe, pick that up, that they should play the game. So, I think it's more so about that than anything else. I'm not making excuses for them, but remember, I always come from that 33 Strategies for War by Robert Greene, the author of the 48 Laws of Power, where he talks about coming up off of the battlefield and doing a scan, right? And this again is why it is important to have your emotions and your nervous system regulated, okay? So that you can do that, so that you are making decisions not from a place of fear. Every decision I've ever regretted in life came from a place of fear. I don't know about you, but you can drop a 2 in the comments if that's the case for you. If you've made decisions out of fear, the decisions you've later made and regret, let me know with a 2 if they were from a place of fear or somewhere lower frequency. Same with anger, right? Same with anger. But when you've been in a situation where you might not have had all of the information, but you were able to really listen to your second brain, which is your gut, and just know from within you, you just knew what to do and you trusted yourself, and you took inspired action, worked out for you. Am I lying, or am I right, or am I right? Let me know in the comments with a 1. If when you are able to make a decision without all of the information, but you are able to trust yourself, trust your intuition, trust your visceral reaction, everything worked out, and everything worked out in your favor. But when you make those decisions from fear, from anger, from the butterflies in your stomach, and you're just not quite sure, you usually end up regretting them in some way, shape, or form. Okay, so we have to be able to do this from a central nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system being regulated, and our emotions being regulated. It is a daily practice. Even if you meditate and do breath work for a minute 3 times a day, you've got to do that, right? Because they're banking on frazzling your nervous system even more than it already is, so that they can control you and control the narrative. Okay. So you have to do that. So from what I know and what other people may not even be aware of, and how incensed this battle that Target has been in with right-wing conservatives for probably close to 10 years, if not 10 years, I think they've decided to play the game because they have stewardship to their shareholders. Y'all have to remember that. And I'm not making excuses. This is business talk. I have my business hat on, and it is not red, by the way. Okay. Now, we need to have a quick conversation on capitalism. Okay. Because I've been around longer than some people. Okay. I will be 15 tomorrow. You do the math, you transpose the numbers. I will be 15 tomorrow. I mean, after all, I've got 32 years of sales, marketing, and leadership experience. So you do the math. Okay. So with over 30 years, 3 decades was what I was trying to say, of business experience, over 20 years in Fortune 500 and major conglomerates and working with major conglomerates. And I'm going to drop some names here. Okay. Having worked with companies like Disney, Universal Studios, United Airlines, American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, right? Working on right out of high school a major consumer brand that is in most people's houses or car. I have a different perspective, right? I worked for the probably maybe now second or third largest bank in the United States, but it's also the bank that holds like 40%, holds the accounts or some of the accounts of like 40% of the richest people in the world. So I have a little bit of a different perspective, right? I'm not coming with emotion because y'all got to be careful. Some of these people that are talking to you about regulating their emotions, when you actually look at how they post, it's very emotionally charged. It's extremely emotionally charged. It's extremely anxiety ridden. Now, again, I'm a little bit older and I can recognize it because one, I've been there. I've got adult children, 33 next week and 28 in June. I've got grandchildren. I've helped raise most of my cousins and my siblings. So I've got a different point of view. I've got a different vantage point. That's not to diminish anyone else's. But I'm not coming from a hyperfixation on capitalism. Been there, done that. About 15, 20 years ago, that's where you could find me. And hypercapitalism. It was in my Facebook post. I was a capitalist pig. Because that was actually a show I used to watch on Fox News of all places, but I worked in financial services. So it wasn't so much about my politics. They had great business shows. I used to watch Nightly Business Report when it was on PBS. It's no longer on, right? So I used to watch and eat up all the financial news. I had a subscription to the Wall Street Journal, a subscription to Financial Times. So you have to remember, I have over 10 years of financial services experience from a sales and marketing standpoint, mostly sales, but you can't have sales without marketing. They go hand in hand. Sales is a function of marketing. Marketing is not a function of sales. Anyone who tells you that does not know what they're talking about. And they certainly don't have any formal education in marketing. I'm just keep it real with you. Okay. So my vantage point is different, right? So I'm not coming from a hyper capitalist position, but I'm also not coming from a position, I'm not far left. I don't identify as a liberal. I'm not on either end. I am not an extremist. I didn't vote for her because she was Black or a woman. Those were positives. I voted for her because I'm a moderate, right? Independent moderate, and have been for well over a decade, going on 20 years. I was raised Democrat. I do vote Democrat a lot, but I am not a liberal. I'm not way over there on the left, because that's just as bad and extreme as the far right. So I just got to get that out of the way. Because if you come on here, you come in the comments with that trash, you will be blocked. Right? Don't come here calling me no snowflake. Don't come here calling me no libtard, no liberal, or any of that, because that is not what I am. Okay? I do lean feminist, but not in the, I don't really do a lot of labels. I'll just say that. I don't do a lot of labels, but I am not hyper focused on capitalism. I'm of the belief that you can make money and you can do it the right way. You can do it without screwing other people over. You can do it with humanity, with a humanitarian twist. You can do it. I like Mark Cuban for that reason. I know a lot of people eat the rich and they don't believe in billionaires or that you can become a billionaire and be a good person. I don't know that I believe that. I don't know that I believe that. Okay. So just know that I'm not completely laissez-faire, but I'm not over here with the iron fist and grit. I love my freedom. I'm all about freedom. I'm an Aquarius. Happy early birthday to me. Okay. So grab DBA, that flash sale. Okay. So let's talk Tab and Target. All right. So I don't have it in front of me and I'm not getting up to get it, but I hand drew a little chart that I had to memorize in marketing principles way back in the mid 1990s when I was in undergrad, right? And it was what I called the marketing wheel. At the center of it was a bullseye, and that was the customer. And then around that is the 4 P's: product, price, and promotion, and place, right? And place includes distribution, so keep that in mind, okay? Because we're going to talk a lot about distribution, and I have an extensive background in distribution marketing and channel marketing, okay? And then outside of that are about 10 things in this next ring that basically create the environment. They're the environment that you have that influences and impacts directly or indirectly your ability to market a product. Because what marketing is it is having the right product at the right price at the right place and promoting that product to meet the needs of a customer. And anybody who tells you anything different, they're lying. They don't know what they're talking about. Okay. So keeping that in mind, I made a post on Facebook last night that said Tab has a distribution problem, because that's the way my brain works. It goes immediately to identifying the problem. One of my strengths is solving problems. I mean, I was solving Rubik's Cube in like the first or second grade. Okay. So solving problems. Tab has a distribution problem, right? And she has a distribution problem because of the government in that outer ring, the government. Oh, I could draw it. The government, what else did I say? Let me look here. It's the government. It is government policy, cultural and social environments, right? You've got the government saying and pressuring to get rid of DEI and to replace it with better, or what they call non-discriminatory, making it an equal playing field for everyone, which we know, which we all know is BS, right? Okay. And then you've got the social and cultural, because they're not the same, social and cultural environments, right? Tab is a Black woman. That's where culture comes in, Black culture. But social is more of that humanitarian, that that's going to be more inclusive of people who are not Black. Okay. Those are the things that are impacting. Here, I'm going to actually share the screen here. Those are the things that are impacting this situation right here, right now. Okay. Let's see. Can I pick you up and show you? You know how well you can see that? I can't tell, but you can see the customer in the center. You can see product, price, place, and promotion. And then I put arrows where this is coming from. Arrow by place, arrow by cultural, government, and social. That is the marketing wheel. Okay. So that's the marketing wheel. So keep that in mind, right? The role of business is to create a customer. The role of business is to create a customer. All right. So diversification, right? One of the things I said in that post is that I've known about Project 2025 because of TikTok for at least 2 years. I mean, probably longer than that, because I was still living in my old place when I first heard about Project 2025. And I've been in my current place for 2.5 years now. So I've heard about Project 2025, and I was posting about it, but when nobody listening, because y'all don't like to listen until a celebrity tells you. And then last year, the Grammys in February, I believe, or maybe it was June, when Taraji P. Henson said something about it, right? I think it was last summer when she said something. So maybe it wasn't the Grammys, whatever awards it was, she said something. And that's when it went viral and everybody started looking up. So whether it was 3 years ago or 6 months ago, as a business owner, we have to be aware and keeping a pulse on all of those things from the marketing wheel that may be impacting us, right? And we knew DEI because it was their sound bite. We knew they were running on a platform of anti-DEI. And so even if as a business owner, you might be hearing from Target, oh, that'll never happen, you still need to prepare as if it is going to happen. So she has a diversification problem because same with Lip Bar, if the majority of their sales are coming from Target, that can wipe a business out. Remember I said I interned and worked on a major consumer brands right out of college? Back then, there was a lot of discourse over these things called CFCs, not forever chemicals like we talk about today, but CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons from aerosol sprays, and their impact on the ozone. I'm really dating myself here, right? And so there was a US can company right down the road from where I got my undergraduate degree. And in between there and where I would go to work several days of the week as a paid intern. And that company that I interned at was the number one customer of that can company. And because of changes they were making, because of regulatory pressure, because of societal pressure, because of environmental pressure, they stopped buying cans from them. And that company quickly went out of business. Are you picking up what I am throwing down? Okay. Are you picking up what I'm going down? Because I promised you that I was coming from a different vantage point, that I was going to fuse capitalism with humanitarianism, and that I was going to come from my own experience, which is going to be different than anyone else's, because I don't know that a lot of the other people you are talking to have this experience with these major corporations that I have, and have been through things like this with working there, along with like the acquisition of a company. And that's why I was able to speak to and demystify a lot of that talk about Meta buying TikTok. Okay. So you can't rely too heavily on a single distribution channel or corporate partner. That is a very risky place to place your business, especially in volatile political and economic climates. So why, I don't know who was on their team, but it's just like the Titanic. The lookout wasn't paying attention and hit that iceberg. But this should have been brought to the table. And maybe again, this is where I'm jaded because I've worked in those major corporations who have contingencies for contingencies for contingencies. Because trust me, Target already had been planning. They had scenarios for both candidates. Believe that, right? But that doesn't mean that the person that they was their liaison and who worked with them was privy to that information and could give Lip Bar and Tab the heads up that they probably should start preparing, right? So they built these significant partnerships with Target, but this reliance makes their brands vulnerable during this time. And now their brand is at risk, and they're asking people to boycott, when, if you know the history of boycotts, you can boycott now and you can be successful. There have been some boycotts against Facebook that have been successful. There have been boycotts against Target that have been successful, but it's very different boycotting now than it was back then. Not only because we've got digital means and social media, but back then you weren't dealing with you didn't have these very large corporations back then with billions and trillions of dollars. And who also, who many of us in, like somebody was saying, in rural areas, Walmart is the only place some people can shop. And they've got to go 30, 40 minutes, an hour, 2 hours to get to Walmart. So boycotting takes a different tone. It takes a different feel and look, right? So businesses, especially those, led by marginalized groups, should actively pursue multiple sales streams, right? We can't just live. It's no different than the music industry, right? The music industry, people pretty much will sign anything just to say they got signed. And then years later, they're crying and they want out of their contract. But they didn't read the contract because they just wanted to get signed. They were so desperate to get signed, right? We want to get in, people want to get in Ulta. They want to get in Sephora. They want to get in Walmart. They want to get in Target. That can definitely change your life. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't still be beefing up sales on your own website, that you shouldn't be looking at other avenues, right? And I get it, there can be logistical issues and things like that, but yeah, right? Because I'm going to sneak this in there. I think this presents an opportunity. Right? I think this presents an opportunity. Now there are companies that can step up or be created to fulfill this gap of that's being created by companies turning their back on DEI, right? So, takeaway number 2, always prepare for external risks. The socioeconomic environment, like Project 2025, which has been renamed America First, in which they denied and swore on a stack of Bibles was not a real thing. In the anti-DEI movement, it's a critical factor in long-term business planning. You have to have long-term business planning. That's why I tell you going viral is not a business strategy. It is not a business plan. Okay. Project 2025, renamed America First, and corporate backlash against DEI, they were predictable outcomes based on recent political and legal shifts. Businesses need to assess these risks and prepare accordingly. I'm not blaming, I'm assessing. Okay. I'm not blaming, I'm assessing. You have to proactively monitor that wheel that I showed you and talked about: the government, the global, the legal environment, the environmental issues. Like I said, that company and that product, which was largely an aerosol product, and the pressure to move away from chlorofluorocarbons because of their impact on the ozone. That's the environmental. And this is why I am so amazing at marketing. And yes, I'm tooting my own horn because I sat in class and learned this wheel and could go to work in the afternoon and apply it. Okay. So again, my vision, my business experience is different than other people's. Okay. So you have to and I've been involved in a lot of this planning in various roles in my over 22 years of corporate experience. You have to proactively monitor external factors like politics, consumer trends. That's why y'all see me come on here and talk a lot about what's trending. Not what's trending for today. I mean, in the bigger scheme of things, on the macro level, right? And economic shifts, and include them in your risk mitigation strategy. That's like, words like that get me excited. Risk mitigation. Okay. So are we ready for takeaway number 3? Takeaway number 3. Okay. Your brand alignment with values has costs, and you have to stand for something, or you don't stand for anything, which means you'll stand for whatever comes at you or is placed on you. So the lesson is aligning your business with specific values like DEI inclusivity builds loyalty, but also exposes you to risk. That's not a judgment. We're talking pure business here. Okay. Exposes you to risk, including backlash and boycotts if you turn on a dime. Target, right? And if you are aligned with Target, you could end up being a collateral damage. You have to understand that. You have to do your matrices, like a SWOT analysis. That's not the only one, but assess your risk. So Target's DEI initiatives made it a target for both progressive and conservative groups. I remember learning that when I was an intern, that companies like that were in court almost every day. Someone was always trying to sue them. It's just par for the course. That's why I laugh when people post about lawsuits. Most of them are thrown out. But yeah, there's lawsuits all the time. It's just par for the course. It doesn't mean they did anything right or wrong. It's just we live in a litigious society. Big word. We live in a litigious society. So when you are one of the biggest and most profitable, you're going to be under attack. It's almost like spiritual warfare. It just comes with the territory, right? Showing that taking a stand comes with trade-offs. There's always going to be trade-offs. And it takes maturity to understand that there are going to be trade-offs. And this is not about Tab or Melissa from Lip Bar. This is for the younger folk to understand that there are always going to be trade-offs. This hard line, hard stance just does not work. It does not work. It never has, and it never will. It's just a law of life. For every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction. We've got to learn that. We've got to understand that. Okay. The key is to know what the trade-offs are and be okay with them. And that's why having money and making money gives you options to make sure that things are ever in your favor. All right. So the takeaway is when you're aligning your brand with values, ensure you have a clear plan for navigating potential backlash while staying true to your mission. All right. So if you're still with me, drop a 1 in the comments. If you're still with me. Okay. Lesson 4, we're going to talk about corporate relationships as a double-edged sword, right? I remember in the early 2000s, CNBC did this special on the Oprah effect, and they also did one on Walmart about how getting a product in Walmart could change your business. How I think it was a cheesecake company or something like that was featured on Oprah's Favorite Things, and they had to shut down their lines. Like they couldn't take any new orders or any new phone calls because they had more demand than they could handle. And that's why I always teach and why I recommend Digital Boss DBA, Digital Boss Academy, because you need your infrastructure if you have a viral video. If you don't have that infrastructure to be able to get to people, automatically send out tracking numbers and things like that, you could be having a customer service nightmare on your hands when it should be something that is changing your business for the good. Now, it doesn't mean you will die from it. Juvia's Place had an issue like that 8-10 years ago, but they're still here. Okay. So partnering with large corporations can elevate your brand, but it also ties your success to their decisions in public perception. I'm going to say that again. Partnering with large corporations can elevate your brand, but it also ties your success to their decisions and public perception. All right. So the success, as an example, the success of the Lip Bar and Tabitha Brown's products at Target is directly linked to the retailer's broader reputation and policies. Target's rollback on DEI impacts not just them, but their entire customer base. Right? So again, it's just like you don't just sign the record deal because they're giving you one and giving you $25,000, which might be the most money you've ever thought of or seen in your life. You got to think bigger than that. You got to #pause and assess, right? It's not to say that they should have done anything different, but these are lessons for us to take away as we are building businesses and scaling them. Okay. So the takeaway is, as an entrepreneur, you need to balance corporate partnerships with strategies to build your brand's independent equity, ensuring that you remain viable even if a major partner falters. Okay, that was a little choppy, so let me say it again. Entrepreneurs should balance partnerships with strategies to build your own brand, ensuring that you remain viable, your brand remains viable, even if a major partner falters or switches up. Okay. That is a lesson, right? So let's quickly talk about DBA because DBA is on sale for my birthday. Volume one is 78, volume two is 178. Volume two comes with volume one. Volume one is your foundation, right? It's teaching you things like building a bomb brand, some digital marketing basics. That's where the vault is of done for you products. That's where the vault is of over 50,000 done for you digital products that you can alter and sell as your own, right? So it is making bricks without straw, is what I call it from the book of Exodus, right? Making bricks without straw, because that is the power of digital products. They're very low to no cost to get started building and selling. And you've got so much upside potential. And I said potential, not guaranteed, right? You got to do the work. So you can literally start with little to no money and be up. And when it's up, it's up. I had to say it. I had to say it, right? Especially when you can, when you know, like say you go with Stan Store and you sign up for Stan Store Professional. The great thing about Stan Store Professional is when somebody does a Klarna or Afterpay plan, you still get your full money up front minus their fee. Even though they're making 4 payments, you get your money up front. So you could get started with DBA because you have the right to sell it and get 100% of the profit. You could get started with DBA and make your money back pretty quickly if you take the right actions and what you learn inside of DBA. So check it out. You know where to go. And my inbox and comments, you can ask questions and I will answer them. I also have some pinned videos on my clock app, on my profile on the clock app. Okay. So that's my little commercial for my birthday sale ending tomorrow at 10 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. So now we are on to takeaway 5. Boycotts today, as I've already said, are more nuanced than they were 50, 60 years ago. Okay. Modern boycotts involve layered consequences, particularly for businesses that depend on corporate intermediaries. We've already discussed this. I already said this. So I'm going to go through this one quickly. So the example calls to boycott Target in response to its DEI rollback may inadvertently harm Black-owned businesses, illustrating the complexity of targeting large corporations while supporting marginalized groups. And the takeaway is businesses must educate their customers about the full impact of these actions, advocating for thoughtful solutions over reactive boycotts. Right? And so that's what they did. I saw both of their videos. I didn't watch all of it, I ain't gonna lie. But I saw both of their videos and there's discourse over their videos. Some people, and I actually agree, don't flat out boycott Target, go in there and support the Black brands and leave. And the delusional influencer, I love her and her content, by the way. First of all, she's so beautiful and chocolate in her hair. Oh my God, she's just gorgeous, right? She She as she said, we really don't know the scope of the contract that Tab has with Target. Is it just a licensing agreement, or are those truly her products that she's developed, created, or is it more of they are licensing her name? We don't know. And she said she needs to educate us so that we can make our decision about what we do. And I tend to agree. Okay. So takeaway 6, customers need guidance to take effective action. So the lesson is consumers often want to support causes they believe in, but they may lack a clear understanding of how to do so without causing unintended harm. In this case, both Brown and Butler have had to step in and explain why boycotting Target could hurt their businesses. right? And the takeaway is be proactive in educating. That's PR. That's under promotion on the marketing wheel. That's public relations. Okay. They've had to step up as the face of their brand and do public relations. Okay. Be proactive in educating your customers about how they can support your business in ways that align with their values and your goals. Okay. And so, takeaway number 7, adaptability is crucial in polarized markets. Okay. The lesson is businesses must remain adaptable to survive in highly polarized environments where public opinion and political climates shift rapidly. In this case, Target has had to navigate boycotts from opposing sides, making it clear that businesses must stay agile and responsive to public sentiment. They also are afraid of this administration. Let's be real. Okay. We could get into whole theory Z, theory X, theory Y, styles of management, and all of that. I actually, when Obama was president, considered getting a PhD in leadership to, do a dissertation on his leadership style, because he's very much not a lead with fear and iron fist type, right? Okay. Lesson 7. Did we go over this? Adaptability is crucial in polarized markets. I feel like we did, so I'm just going to repeat it. The lesson is businesses must remain adaptable to survive in highly polarized environments where public opinion and political climate shift rapidly. Okay. We talked about Target as the example, navigating boycotts from opposing sides, making it clear. And this is where I said they're afraid of the administration. They're afraid. There's something going on that we are not being told that is making a lot of these companies fall in line. And it shouldn't take rocket science to figure that out. So you have to be flexible in your strategy. If one channel or market becomes challenging, pivot to another. I hate that word. To other opportunities to maintain stability. All right. So, here's the bottom line. You've got to invest in building direct customer relationships to reduce reliance on third parties. Use public moments like this boycott discussion to educate your audience on supporting your business directly and diversify revenue streams. None of this should be new coming from me. Diversify revenue streams to ensure long-term stability, sustainability. If you are part of a corporation and you're watching this, anticipate and prepare for political or cultural backlash when implementing DEI or value-driven initiatives. Penzies is another great example. They've been dealing with backlash from their stance, their anti-Trump stance, right? I stand with them, but that's just me, right? Communicate transparently with partners and customers about decisions and their broader impacts, and align DEI commitments with a long-term strategy that considers shareholder expectations, not just immediate trends. And the crazy thing is, from what I understand, the numbers and the reason a lot of these companies like JP Morgan, Costco, and others are doubling down on DEI is because it works. It's working for them. It's working for them. Getting diverse opinions and including more people tends to lead to more profits. I don't know what's so hard to believe about that, right? I think in the end, we're going to look back at all of this and we're going to have learned some major, major lessons, but the leopards are going to eat their face and things are going to work themselves out. And that's why I'm not getting overly emotional about it. That's why I'm not wrecking my nervous system worrying about it. Good always prevails in the end. And I really try to stay away from good and evil, but what's right and just usually prevails in the end. Okay. But the lesson we need to walk away from here is the importance of planning, adaptability, and clear communication, right? For businesses, large corporations and small businesses, key takeaway is that success requires a balance of values, strategic foresight, and diversified resilience. This case shows how interconnected today's business environment is, where one decision by a corporation can have a ripple effect across entire communities. So that's that. I think boycott, but still, support the Black brands as you can. So if that means going into a store that you're boycotting to get those things. And other people have said similar things. Like if you live in an area where Walmart is the only place that you can grocery shop, get your necessities only, but get as much as you can locally. But keep in mind, some of them local people ain't down for you either. You got to keep that in mind, right? You know who they are. And just because they're local, I'm not supporting them if they voted to do harm to me, my children, and grandchildren. I'm not. I'd rather support a bigger company than them because some of them are the worst. They are the nastiest. They are the most disgusting. Not all, but some of them are. Some of them are victims. Oh, the internet. But what are you doing? What are you doing to drive business into your location other than think you're supposed to just put up a shop and people show up? No, you have to do marketing and sales. This is why I say marketing and sales are not optional skills. Okay. So I need to take a break. But those are the 7 key takeaways from the Tab and Target and Lip Bar discussion and discourse. That's my takeaway. They've got a distribution problem. They relied too heavily on one channel, right? And short term, yeah, they had to get on these social medias and they had to address us so that they can make sure they have the capital and the inflowing revenue to be able to make their next move their best move. I get that and I respect it. So I'll be 15 tomorrow. 15. My parents gonna have a whole 15-year-old. That's crazy. So don't forget DBA Volume 2 and Volume 1 on sale, $78 for Volume 1, but you're better off getting Volume 2 for $178. You can split that into 4 payments, less than $50, about $40. What's 180 divided by 4? 160, about $45, $47 with Klarna or Afterpay. And you can just sell it if you want to. I imagine even if you just want to sell it, you should go inside of it and learn what's in there. Because I promise you, when you learn how to make bricks without straw, when you learn how to wake up and create something out of thin air and sell it, you will be unstoppable. You will never be broke again another day. And you're like, happy birthday, Wanza. Happy birthday. Do you want to come on and say hi? Happy birthday. I'm going to invite you and you can come on if you want. Happy birthday. That was a beautiful picture that you posted too. I was just saying last night, you got to get better. Our birthdays are coming. We're literally one day apart. And that's the power of the internet. Wanza and I don't know, it's been close to probably 8 years or so. We met online. We've never met in person, but you're welcome. But we are huge fans and supporters of each other. If we go a couple days without messaging each other, we're like, hey, what's going on? You all right? I'm not dressed yet. Hey, it's your birthday. It's your birthday. So yeah. So Wanza is good people. She is awesome. She's awesome. So if you're on the Clock app, make sure you follow her. Her page is all about infertility defeated. She shares her story of infertility, and hint, she has 2 beautiful daughters. One is a freshman in college. So and she was told that she wouldn't have kids. So, share your story. My baby making days are over. I'm a nana. I ain't making nobody's babies. It would be a true miracle. I mean, like it would be on the news for me to get pregnant and give birth to a child, right? It would like equipment been shut down. So my baby making days are truly, truly over. But that doesn't mean that by knowing her story, I can't share it. And that is the purpose. That is the benefit of sharing your story. Just because I can't turn around and be able to have a baby and go just because I'm not going through infertility is what I'm trying to say doesn't mean that her story doesn't still touch me and I can't pass it along and share it to someone else, right? She also helps authors publish their books, and I refer people to her all the time for that and put her in contact with other people I know in that industry because we all need to be building our networks. We need to be building community big time at this time. And that is why I am going live multiple times a day because we have to build community. We have to build community. Okay. Wanda says that's Wanza. I don't know why I keep saying Wanda. I've got some congestion. Wanza, I know my friend name. So I'm going to go. I'm going to take a break and I will come back later this evening and share some more. But DBA, if you have not grabbed DBA, what are you waiting for? I've got a birthday sale going on right now. It ends tomorrow. I'll be 15 tomorrow. So grab DBA Volume 2 for $78. That's my plug. That's the sweet spot. DBA for for $178, and you can split it into 4 payments with Klarna or Afterpay. I've got plenty of videos that break it down. Yes, 15, girl. You just turned 15 today. You know what's up. We 15, right? So I'm a 15-year-old grandma. My dad used to always joke about being an 18-year-old grandma. And here I am talking about a 15-year-old grandma. All right. Next year I'll be 25. All righty, I'm gonna go. I might run this again and go through it and get to the lessons faster. We'll see. I felt like we needed to lay the foundation, and it's my live stream, and I can do what I want to do, and I can always edit it later. So, anyway, good to see you, Wanza. Thanks for